Hi everyone, Jennifer here. In today's video, we're going to have another etiquette chat. I love these videos. These are my favorite videos I think that I do. And every now and then I receive letters from readers through my author website. So if you ever want to send me a letter or tell me about an etiquette horror story or conundrum or anything like that, I'll leave the link below and you can contact me through my author website. So I received a few letters recently that all had the same theme. So I thought that I would do a discussion of it on the channel today. And that is of a lack of professionalism at work. So that's what we're going to be exploring in today's video. Before we begin, I just want to say that I appreciate all of the letters that you send me. I read every single one. I am not able to respond to every single one. So I just hope that you know that I do appreciate your letters. I get a lot of them and I can't respond to all of them right now with the 4 kids and everything that I'm doing. But I know that you understand that, so I just want to say thank you so much for all of the letters that I've received. I just really appreciate it. Okay, so let's get into our topic today. This is a good one, a very good one, and I think it's very relevant. And at first I was going to call this video, Are We Lacking Social Graces? But I noticed a theme with the 2 emails that I received, and they all had to do with professionalism and how people behave at work. So that is what we are going to be exploring today in our etiquette chat, professionalism or lack thereof. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and read the first letter that I received, and I emailed this reader back and I asked if I could discuss this in a video, and she said yes. I'm not going to give her name so that she can remain anonymous because it has to do with work. But here we go. Hi Jennifer, you've been on my mind this week. I'm about to have my 2nd baby and I've decided to stay home with my children. I've started transitioning my job to my replacement this week. She's in her 20s. I'm 36. That's what the writer is saying. And I'm just trying to wrap my head around her lack of poise. Within 3 days of training her, much of our time has been taken up with her telling me every single terrible detail about her sloppy life right now. She has cursed, casually mentioned friends that love drugs, and is constantly checking her phone and talking to a man she just started dating in the midst of her very new divorce. I work for a very large Fortune 500 tech company with very polished and intelligent employees, many in their later years. I'm wondering if the disconnect is her generation growing up, putting their entire lives out into the world on social media without a filter. I wonder if they haven't been trained to guard their personal life from their professional life. This all has me fully understanding the importance to teach my own daughters about how they represent themselves in the public. I thought this might be a great topic for your content. You know I will make sure they read your books as they move into adulthood. Thank you for your books and videos that essentially teach self-respect. I read her email and I thought, ooh, this is good because her case is not isolated. I have noticed a lack of professionalism in general over the past few years, and it just seems to be getting worse and worse and worse. So let's explore some of the things that she has talked about here. So she's 36, she's leaving work to stay home with her children, and she's training her replacement. And her replacement is younger, she's in her 20s. I just read the email, so you know what she said. The replacement is doing things like cursing, oversharing about her personal life, constantly looking at her phone. Okay, so all of these things are very unprofessional. You don't need me to tell you that. And I have definitely seen this, I have so seen this recently over the years, and it seems to be getting worse. So I have had many occasions where I have been shopping and the employees will just blatantly swear. They'll just say swear words casually. And that to me is just totally insane. I mean, I understand in your private life, if you're walking down the street at a restaurant, you hear other people cursing, okay, that's just a part of life, and I've heard that too. But when the other person is working on the job, that's crazy to me. My husband used to run his small business, and if any of our employees cursed like that, it just in front of a customer, I couldn't even imagine. They would never have done that. But anyway, I just think that that is very bad. So the reason why I'm doing this video is to bring this to light. So maybe younger people who are entering the workforce who don't necessarily know this could watch this video and listen to this discussion, because professionalism is extremely important. I remember one time I went to, when I was in Los Angeles and we were doing the wallpaper for our home. I think I shared this story before on the blog. The woman who was helping me, and she was not a young person, okay? This is not an attack on millennials. I just want to say that. The woman who was helping me was older. She was older than me. She was probably in her 50s. And she was just casually swearing. Well, I'm ordering wallpaper. It was a very classy establishment and it seemed so out of place. And I thought, I wonder if the boss knows that she's doing that. Or maybe she was the boss. I don't know. But I thought that that was just so out of place. Another story I have was I was ordering drapes for my son's room back in our old home, not the one we live in now. And the owner of that business told a dirty joke to my husband and I. And I'm like, this is so inappropriate, right? So yes, swearing at work, telling dirty jokes at work, especially in front of customers, is such a bad idea. So maybe the people that are doing this, you know, don't see the job as their forever job and they're just less guarded in their behavior. But what I truly believe and what I want to impart in this video is that when you cultivate poise in your life, you do everything to the best of your ability. You know, you give everything your best, even if it's a job that you don't enjoy or a job that you think is just a transition job, because your good behavior will just take you places that you just never could imagine, especially in today's climate where the world has just gotten too casual and people seem to majorly lack in social graces. Another thing that the woman mentioned was that the employee was always on her phone. Okay, this is a very bad idea. When you are working, you should not always be on your phone. I can't tell you how many times I've walked into a business and the employee is just on their phone. And then sometimes they'll just look up and say, hi, let me know if you need anything. And then they go back to their phone. No, it's just wrong. When you are working, you should be fully working. If you have a job and you want the boss to notice you, rather than in your downtime just looking at your phone, do something like, you know, tidy up the space or rearrange things, or just find yourself something to do to keep busy that benefits the company. Of course, if you're on your break, then you can do whatever you want. You can be on your phone, but I'm talking about when you are working. Another thing that this woman has mentioned, and by the way, when I emailed her back to ask if I could put this email on, she said there were a lot of other things that were too bad to put in the email that I couldn't say, so I can't even imagine. But anyway, another problem is that she is oversharing. So, you know, in my Madame Chic books, I talk about cultivating an air of mystery. It is important to cultivate an air of mystery, especially at work. You do not want to overshare about your personal life or your private life at work. Okay, so I have another point that veers off on this point in particular. So with social media right now, it's so strange because the lines are sometimes blurred. Sometimes someone from your professional life will try to friend you on Facebook or on a social media platform, and then you accept the friend request so it's not awkward, but then you know way too much about this person, just things that you wish you did not know. So it's funny, one of my daughter's former preschool teachers, okay, and I love this lady, she's great, she was a great teacher, I really liked her. We're friends on Facebook, and I rarely go on my private Facebook page, I don't post on it much. But anyway, when I do go on there, I sometimes see her posts, and she likes to post these funny memes about how, you know, she can't wait to get off work. Or there's a lot of stuff about how you can't wait to get off work, can't wait for Friday. Now, if I have someone who's teaching my child, right, I don't want them to can't wait to get off of work. I want them to love teaching my child. Now, I know that they're only human, right? So of course she can't wait to get off work. But to celebrate it so much, I don't know, it's not a good idea. It's not a good idea to friend the parents of your students and then always talk about how you can't wait to get off work, okay? It's just, I mean, to me that just makes total sense. Cultivating an air of mystery is very important on the job. So just not oversharing. Of course, if you develop friends in the workplace, then yes, you can talk to them, but just right off the bat, just oversharing about your life and even talking about inappropriate things, like she talks about drugs and things like that, it's just not a good idea. All right, I want to read the second email that I received. And then I want to talk about another experience that I had. So let's go. Okay, this one is from Pauline, and Pauline has written to me a few times. Hi, Pauline. And she wrote, "Hi, Jennifer, I have an etiquette story for you. Today we had our new wood burner fitted in our rented cottage. I think as part of an apprenticeship, tradesmen need to be taught proper etiquette for being in people's homes. The young guy working with the older man, when he wasn't doing anything, plonked himself down in an armchair. This after sitting on the floor in all the dust and muck from angle grinding, etc. They did put down a couple of pieces of old carpet, but nothing else was covered to keep the dirt off. Thankfully, everything can be washed, and I didn't say anything because my husband would probably accuse me of being too fussy. But I thought that this was extremely bad manners. Granted, we live in a tiny cottage and there's hardly room to move, but still, in his filthy work clothes. Hi, honestly. Blessings on your day, Pauline." Okay, so Pauline was having work done in her home, and one of the men who was doing the work sat down on her armchair in his work clothes. Now, this would have driven me crazy too, but I wouldn't have said anything. I would have just inwardly been dying. Just thinking, oh my gosh, please put a blanket on the chair. Just because work clothes can get so dirty. There could be grease and dirt and sweat and grime and all sorts of things. So to sit on somebody's armchair, no, that's wrong. She's correct. And the older gentleman who was working with him probably should have said something. So I am noticing a trend in these emails. It is a lot of the younger generation, and I don't know if they're not being taught this by their parents or they're lacking the common sense etiquette skills that older generations had. I don't know. What do you think? I want to know everything that you think about this subject. Okay, so for a while I've been wanting to do a video, and I could do another separate video on how to interview for a job. Because I have a lot of experience in this area. I have interviewed for a lot of jobs, and I have interviewed people for jobs, and I have seen everything. So I want to tell you a little story about an experience that I had a few years ago. Okay, so back when we only had 2 children, I had my older daughter who was 2, and I just had my second daughter, so she was a baby. I was under contract to write my second book at home with Madame Chic, with Simon & Schuster. I was feeling a little bit overwhelmed by that because I thought, okay, I have a contract that I've signed and I have to deliver this book, and here I have a 2-year-old and a baby. How am I going to do this? I need a nanny. So I thought I needed a nanny. So I went on, I think it was care.com, and I set up some interviews to interview some nannies from local areas. I think I was looking for someone who could just come a few hours a day, maybe 3 days a week. That's what I was looking for. Spoiler alert, I don't have a nanny. It didn't work out for me, but I'll get to that later. Anyway, I interviewed these people. So I had a lot of young ladies come to my house so I could interview them for the nanny position. And I was blown away by the lack of awareness from these people. So they would come into my home interviewing for a position to be a nanny, right? And I asked every single one of them, why do you want to be a nanny? Why do you want to be a nanny? And their responses were just so telling to me. Almost all of them said, oh, because it has flexible hours and I want to do this instead. Many of them were actresses. Well, I'm an actress, and I love acting, and I have auditions all the time, and the nanny job is just, it's perfect for the hours. And not one of them said, I want to be a nanny because I love kids. That was the answer I was looking for. That was the golden answer. I love children, and I love to be with them, and I like nurturing them and teaching them. I mean, hello. So that seemed obvious to me. So if you are ever interviewing for a job, you have to think from the perspective of the employer. What do they want? Why are they hiring you? What are they looking for? And if you want that job, you need to tell them that. Now, it could be true that you don't, want to be a nanny for the rest of your life, and that's fine. But you need to say to them, think about what they want from the job. Every single person who said that, I just immediately wrote them off. And that was the first question I asked. So then I'd ask a few more questions. I said, thank you very much. And of course I didn't call any of them. I don't want someone watching my children who is only doing it because they can go to an audition later. Right? I did end up hiring one young lady, and she had answered the question correctly. However, it didn't last long. I remember I would stay in the house while she washed them so I could write my book. And one day I just stepped out briefly to I think it was like to run an errand. And I came back and she was on my iPad, just surfing my iPad while and I just, again, not professional. So let's end this video on a positive note. I want to encourage everybody in the workforce. And you know, the ironic thing is that most people watching this video already have great poise and good etiquette, and you don't even need these suggestions. But I'm putting them out there just in case we have younger people maybe entering the workforce and they need to hear this. So when you're in the workforce, you know, give your job your absolute all, even if you hate it, even if you can't stand it. This is good practice for life in general. You know, as a stay-at-home mother, I do a lot of things during the day that I don't particularly like doing, but I give them my all and I do it to my best ability. Why? Because it betters the entire family environment, right? So even if you're in a job that you can't stand, give it your all. Be fully present, give it your full attention. Don't be on the phone or a tablet or something. Never swear at the workplace. Don't overshare too much about your life. Think about the other person. So the tradesman who sat in the armchair could have thought, oh, you know, my clothes might be dirty and they might stain the upholstery on this chair. Think about the person who's employing you, and that always gets you far. Think about how you can help them. And you would just be amazed. You would be amazed the doors that will open for you, the things that will arise, the people that you will meet when you employ just a little bit of poise in your life. For much more on this topic, check out my third book, Polish Your Poise with Madame Chic. The entire book is how you can cultivate poise in your life. And I truly believe that anybody can have poise, anybody. It doesn't matter if you weren't raised with it. It doesn't matter if you weren't taught it. It doesn't matter how old you are. You can cultivate poise in your life and you can be a poised, classy, elegant person. And people will notice you. You will just shine, especially in this modern day where our society has become too casual and most people lack poise and social graces. So I hope that you check out my book, Polish Your Poise with Madame Chic. It has excellent reviews. It was a New York Times bestseller. It's got everything you need to learn about poise in this book. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. I would love to hear from you on this topic. Do you have any etiquette horror stories from work? Anything that a coworker has done? Or do you have things that you used to do at work? What do you think about all of the topics that we discussed in this video? I would love to hear from you, and your comment could be chosen as comment of the week on my blog. Thank you so much for joining me for today's etiquette chat, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!